Hey guys. First off, I just want to apologize for the time that you've been waiting for the next Alien Files to post. I've been working hard to filter through lots of research to make these next few the best yet. I know I promised you hard science in my last post, but I think first instead we're going to delve into a string of government conspiracies. But first, I need some help. What do you want to see covered next on my blog? Your first option? The ever famous Roswell incident. Roswell is the first time in American history that we can see true evidence of government and military cover ups. The event occurred in July of 1947, but is still discussed en masse today. It was initially reported as the crash of a flying disc by the U.S. military. However, within 24 hours, they stated that it was just a weather balloon. In the years following, the incident gained widespread attention when people like retired Lieutenant Colonel Jesse Marcel, who was the man to originally tell the public that it was just a weather balloon, came forward in an interview to say that that was a lie and a cover up. It was later said that the weather balloon was part of the top secret Project Mogul, but that project, in and of itself, was eventually found to be a lie and a cover up for yet another story. The circle of lies, for the first time, was coming unwound in this incident. It is also interesting to note that in the Roswell incident, we can first notice a pattern of reaction and response by our government. An event occurs. The government says something along the lines of, "Nothing to see here," and then immediately they begin a new secret black project. In the case of Roswell, there were two that began immediately following: Project Sign and the Majestic 12. Project Sign was an official U.S. military investigation into UFOs during the 1940s and early 1950s. It was the first systematic study of UFO sightings by the U.S. Air Force, launched in 1947 in response to the growing number of reported UFO incidents. The project's primary purpose was to assess the potential threat posed by UFOs and determine their nature and origins. The Majestic 12, or MJ-12, is a secret committee within the government that was established in 1947 by an executive order of then-President Harry S. Truman, and was tasked with managing and covering up information about UFOs and extraterrestrial contacts. MJ-12 was one of many of Truman's attempts at beginning a cover-up. Another major player in his group was the Miragemen, of which Richard Doty has come forward about in many interviews. The next event happened during the Eisenhower administration and is referred to as the Washington Merry-Go-Round. It happened over the weekends of July 19th and 20th and 26th and 27th in 1952. This incident involved a series of UFO sightings over the nation's capital. Sightings of bright lights, unusual maneuvers, and erratic flight patterns were witnessed by countless civilians and military personnel. All of these sightings amounted to significant press coverage, with newspapers and radio broadcasts reporting the sightings to the public. The U.S. Air Force began an investigation, and the official explanation was temperature inversions causing radar signals to bounce off layers of warm and cool air. About 6 months following this event and less than adequate response, we continued the secret reaction and response pattern inside of our government with the Eisenhower call for Project Blue Book, less than 100 days into his presidency. Officially, Project Blue Book was the 1952 U.S. Air Force effort to study and explain UFO reports, providing both official explanations for most sightings and a database for researchers interested in the subject. The program aimed to collect, analyze, and catalog UFO reports to determine whether they posed any threat to national security. Under Project Blue Book, military personnel and civilian investigators examined thousands of UFO sightings. The cases were classified into various categories, including identified or explained, unidentified or unexplained, and insufficient data, meaning lacking enough information for conclusive determination. While the majority of cases were ultimately identified as conventional phenomenon like weather balloons, aircraft, and astronomical events, a very small percentage remained unexplained. Project Blue Book aimed to debunk UFO reports and reassure the public that there was no evidence of extraterrestrial visitation. It also worked to reduce public concern and curiosity surrounding UFOs. Project Blue Book was officially ended in 1969 and its records were transferred to the National Archives. But it is rumored to still secretly operate under a new project name. It is also said that the Eisenhower's time as president was one of the few to have both direct knowledge of and contact with UFOs. The Eisenhower meeting at Edwards Air Force Base in California in 1954 is said to be his very first contact with these extraterrestrial beings. According to these claims, Eisenhower supposedly met with representatives of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization to establish diplomatic relations or agreements with these extraterrestrial visitors. Our final option for the next series of blog posts is going to be about Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson administrations, of which was packed to the extreme with UFO incidents and events. Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson was in charge of the space program during the Kennedy administration and took over the presidency after the Kennedy assassination. During his time in office, some of the most major UFO incidents occurred, such as the Lonnie Zamora incident on April 24, 1964, and the September 1964 Vandenberg AFB Big Sur filming, of which Dr. Robert Jacobs claims to be a part of the biggest military cover-up of all time. There was also the December 9th, 1969 Roswell of the East Coast and the incident that happened at Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, of which the same flying object was seen streaking across the sky in a total of 6 states, including Canada, and was seen making a controlled crash landing in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. Though the number of events in these few short years is absolutely exuberant, the Maelstrom ICBM incident on March 16th and March 24th of 1967 was by far the most terrifying. Anytime a person says to me that there has never been an incident to affect national security, this is the event that comes to my mind. On these March mornings, there were numerous UFOs spotted near nuclear missile sites of Echo Flight and Oscar Flight, both home to Minuteman ICBM, or Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Launch Facilities. Around 8:45 a.m., an alarm sounded that one of these missiles, at Echo Flight, had gone dark. No sooner than First Lieutenant Walt Feigl figured out this issue, more of them started to go dark, until eventually all 10 of these missiles were offline. It was reported to be a guidance and control fault, though as these missiles were all independent of each other, Boeing, their contractor, claimed that this is an impossible feat. Robert Salas, DMCCC, then has nearly the exact same thing happen 1 week later at Oscar Flight, with a total of 20 nuclear missiles unexplainably shut down over 1 week's time. So guys, Roswell and the Truman administration, the Washington, D.C. merry-go-round and the Eisenhower administration, or Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, and the ICBM